Welcome to A Fan's Perspective. This is episode 38. Yeah, I'm feeling. Just got a few topics I want to go over today. So 21 Savage says F the streets, right? Um, this the thing, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna play a little bit from this joint just to get y'all up to speed of what's going on. All right, so 21 Savage says F the streets. Who Shiesty manager chimed in, you know, think Gunna chimed in too, a few other rappers or whatever the case may be. I don't really see a problem with it. I know they're getting some backlash for it. They're getting some backlash for it or whatnot, but I don't really see a problem with it. You know what I mean? Because you got to understand, like, there are people that benefit off of everything negative that we do out here. You understand what I'm saying? And I feel like hip hop has been like nowadays days when it comes to street rap, like just rap in general, it has been more about what somebody doing in the street and less about the music, less about the talent. That's why rap is taking a hit right now. Because it's not at its peak right now. Let's be honest here. It's not at its peak. And it's taking a hit because people are not really talented. They're not really working on their craft. You know what I mean? And you'll have somebody that'll go viral for all the BS they do in the street. But when they drop a song, it's like the only reason why the song hot is because they hot in real life. Like hot by the law in real life. You understand what I'm saying? Um, Now there's a flip side to that coin. You know, I don't think them dudes is really that street anyway. You know what I'm saying? And I remember Miss Jones said a long time ago. I don't know if I think it was either Miss Jones or Miss Info, man. It was on I-97. I think it was Miss Jones when she was still there. And she was like, if you give a rapper from the street some money, they can buy goons to be on their team. They buy the jewelry, they buy the clothes and everything, and now they look street when they really just an entertainer. You understand what I'm saying? They really just an entertainer, and then you got street dudes that'll get around them and a move with them, protect them, thinking that they play by the same morals and principles that the street dudes play by. You feel what I'm saying? Then when they get their millions and they doing business, now all of a sudden they turn into exactly who they was in the first place. They reveal themselves for who they was in the first place. They was just an entertainer. And watching the YSL trial, watching 21 Savage interview, Gunna, you know, and a few other rappers, it just let me know that them dudes was just entertainers, man. Them dudes was just entertainers. And if you an entertainer, entertain. You feel me? So if you don't really stand on those street morals and principles, leave it alone, man. Because at the end of the day, you could say what you want in your rap, but we really gonna see what you made of when you under pressure. You understand? Like, so I feel like it's good for hip hop because if you ain't pushing the street shit like that no more, now you really got to be talented. The only thing we can watch is your music, is your talent. And like I said, there's a whole multi-million, probably $1 billion that get made off of us doing dumb shit in the street. Like who works hard? Because I've seen when rappers trying to get on, even if they talented, they got to get people to mess with their music. They got to go do the chitlin circuit. You know what I'm saying? The backyard clubs and the hole in the wall spots. You know what I mean? They might sign a deal. The deal might not be the best deal. They got to work their way out of that deal and keep themselves hot to get a better record deal, right? But the thing is, who works that hard to throw it away trying to be a street cat? That don't make no sense, man. You understand what I'm saying? You seen rappers going to jail, they making millions of dollars. That don't make no sense. And if you get in the entertainment business, it's not to be a street dude. If you was already that, then when you get into the entertainment business, it's to change your life for the better. It ain't to continue being a street dude to try to prove that. If you got to prove to the world that you a street dude, then you probably not that street. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's not something you really want to broadcast like that, man. You walking on the wrong side of the law. Why would you want to broadcast that? You know what I mean? Look at the little Dirk situation. You made all that money to turn around and throw it away and end up in jail facing life. How do you go from millions and millions of dollars? I read like a while back that him and Lil Baby went on tour, he made $14 million, or they made $14 million. How do you throw all that away to go sit in jail facing a life sentence, man? How? That don't make no sense. Pardon me, people. Yeah, that don't make no sense, man. So I'm not against people just coming out with talent and good music, hip hop, R&B. You know what I mean? What's wrong with that? Just leave the BS to the side, because at the end of the day, like, as much as we don't want to admit it, the rap music, it shapes the younger generation, man. Especially when it come from, especially when it come to the youngins that come from nothing or that come from the hood, like it shapes them. You feel me? So why not just entertain? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this era of trying to get into rap to be a street dude, it should be over with. It's stupid. It's a lot of dudes that's real street dudes that you never knew they were street dudes because they never pushed that. Case was one of them. Case a real street dude, but he an R&B dude. See what I'm saying? Like, and you know, there's others, but they didn't get in this business to continue doing the same shit they doing in the street. You see, I seen Case not too long ago. He in a drop top caddy doing one of his songs, acapella ride through the city, man. That's what you got. That's what he got in the game for. You know what I mean? To be successful, to take care of your family, and to live, man. You understand what I'm saying? Because ain't nothing in them streets really. And for the people that's out there, man, try to make a way out, bro. Because if you a real dude and you stand on morals and principles, you at a disadvantage already. So I'm okay with dudes that feel like they don't want to push that no more. I get it. Along with the fact that they was looking goofy on TV when it came to these situations too. I got to keep it real. They was looking goofy in these situations. That interview with 21 Savage and Bank, man, 21, oh my gosh, he set himself up, but that's how he thought. So imagine catching a case with him. Imagine catching a case with Young Thug. He up in that joint for 2 hours just talking. Gunna, first time he get pinched, he throw the whole team under the bus. You know what I mean? Like, y'all don't need to be in the street, man. Streets ain't no good anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that you know, that you want to just pride yourself and keep doing for the rest of your life, man. Like, you feel me? If you had to really play in them streets, you're trying to get to something better. I had a homie that came home not too long ago trying to get away from that. And he one of the most stand-up gangsters I know. You feel me? Trying to get away from that, man. See what I'm saying? So he could live his life. He done lost years off his life running around in the street. But see, When people in the streets did what they did what they did because they had to, for the most part. For whatever situation they came from, they did what they did because they had to. Some people do it because they want to. I ain't speaking for them. I ain't speaking on them, but most people that's in the street, man, they do it because they got to, or they feel like when the position they in, they feel like they don't got much options. You understand what I'm saying? But you don't get in the rap game and make millions of dollars to be a street nigga. Like, that don't make no sense. That's stupid. That's stupid, man. Stupid, guys. It's fucking stupid. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like it's you know, now when these rappers come out, I want to see how talented you are. I want to see you know how to make a hit. You know how to make a solid project without a bunch of mumble rap and auto tune. You understand what I'm saying? Like, real talk. You ain't got to rap like the old school, 90s rap. You ain't got to do that. But you got to have some lyrical skill, man. You got to be able to paint a picture with lyrics and a beat, bro. Like, that's your canvas. And then you're going to make a Picasso out of that canvas. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like it's a good thing, man. I'm championing it. Rappers that, really don't come from that, or they don't want to push that, don't push it, man. Just come in here and make your money, man. And regardless of what people say when they say, oh, uh, why rappers role models, you know what I mean? That the parents supposed to be the role model because they watching you on TV. That's something that's going to happen regardless. And I'm not saying you got to live for everybody else. You understand what I'm saying? But just understand that there's people that's watching you. And some of y'all got kids and they watching you too. I see plenty of rappers' kids come out here and they go through identity crisis because they trying to be like they daddy. And they daddy was pushing this gangster shit. Now they trying to be on that same shit and they ended their ass up in jail, or you getting into all kind of goofy situations. You feel what I'm saying? So, I feel like it's a good thing, man. You feel me? On to the next topic. Now we had this situation where a Vermont cop was denied retirement benefits, man. And I feel like people need to, pay attention to stuff like this because it could happen to anybody. You feel me? Let's get into it.
Spark fury in others.
Yeah, especially during a time of being kind and thinking about others. A 19-year police veteran in Mount Vernon has kidney failure, and he is on dialysis.
Now, if you know anyone who has had this, you know what it means. But in his case, and this case, his doctors say he can work on light duty.
But here's the rub. The Mount Vernon Police Department says he can't work, and he's now being terminated December 31st, and that means no health insurance.
Happy holidays. Not. Here's Marcus Solis.
I do 9 hours of dialysis 7 days a week to maintain my health. Without that, I wouldn't survive.
Derek Williams describing his declining health, surrounded by retired Mount Vernon police officers supporting their brother in blue. Williams is a 19-year veteran, a former member of the Elite Emergency Service Unit. In 2020, he contracted COVID after months of working double shifts.
Derek's character caused him to come in and work and support this city and the residents of the city during the worst pandemic that we've had.
The department has classified Williams' kidney failure as a non-job related illness and stopped paying him when he became too sick to work. Doctors have cleared the 45-year-old for desk duty, and he's just 6 months shy of qualifying for a reduced pension. That request has been denied.
I begged for my job back. I begged to come in whatever hours that I can capable of doing, and I was told there's no light duty for me.
Earlier this month, Williams received a termination letter effective December 31st, which would not only end his career, it would cut off his health insurance.
I just feel like they have no empathy, they have no compassion.
To be just thrown like in the garbage, like it's over, it's ridiculous.
To be blunt, if you're terminating his employment, you're terminating his life in so many words.
Mount Vernon says it cannot comment on personnel matters. Williams has an application pending for a state disability pension and is on a kidney transplant waiting list. In Mount Vernon, Marcus Solis, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Yeah, man. Now, I heard today that Vermont has gave him an extension. This is what I read today, right? And I just feel like, yo, y'all not doing him no favor, man, at the end of the day, man. Y'all not doing him no favor. That man worked there pretty much all his life. And y'all trying to just throw him away like the work he ain't put in don't mean nothing. You feel me? Like I don't feel that, man. And that could happen to anybody. You know what I mean? You know, whether cop, whatever. But what I say though is when you go to these jobs, man, sign up for everything, man. Get paycheck protection. Throw money into your retirement, no matter what job you at. You know what I mean? Throw money into your retirement. Take your retirement, like when they give you the option to open up a 401k, right? Take that you know, when they'll give you like a list of stocks that you know you can invest in, that you can choose from. Take that to your financial advisor, have them pick the best investments for you so your joint can double up and triple up over the years. So if you ever have to deal with a situation like this, you know, you're prepared. You understand what I'm saying? Like, my question is, where the union at? Where's the union? They supposed to fight for and protect shit like this. You understand what I'm saying? And then every police department got one. So what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. Like, you know, but I hope that brother gets everything that he needs to get, man, to take care of himself, take care of his health and take care of himself. You know what I mean? Because that, you know, they try to do him dirty. You know what I mean? And that's the power of media. When you bring these issues to the media, they have no choice but to address it. Now they want to jump in the camera and all that and act like, oh yeah, you know, we helped him out. You know, y'all didn't do him no favors, bro. Y'all didn't do him no favors. Y'all only jumped in front of that situation and made it right for him because it was national attention on it. And y'all was gonna look crazy. And it would make the next generation of officers question about signing up for y'all. Because that's how y'all gonna do me after I put all that work in. I wish I would work for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how y'all gonna make the new generation feel about it. You understand? So, yeah, like, they not doing him no favors. You know, so I had to bring that, you know, to because that could happen at any job. That's why I say, like, make sure your retirement is intact, your pension, check your Social Security, see how much you're gonna get paid. You know what I mean? Put that together and plan backwards. So when you get close to that age, you know, and while you working, shit, throw your money in some stocks yourself. Like, you might have your 401k, but throw some extra money in some stocks. There's people that leave jobs and leave pensions and 401ks there, and they don't never look into it. They don't get the money transferred and diversified, throw it in a Roth IRA. You know what I mean? Like, you got to take advantage of these things when these jobs offer these things. Not to say he didn't, but it can kind of soften the blow if you got to deal with some BS like that. You understand what I'm saying? So definitely, man. I salute the brother, man, and I hope that I hope everything work out for him. You feel me? Now, our next to last topic right here is Tory Lanez interview. We're gonna go over that, bring that to the forefront. He did an interview from prison, so we're gonna see what he's talking about.
Tonight, rapper Tory Lanez breaking his silence in his first ever broadcast interview from behind bars since being found guilty of shooting Grammy winner Megan Thee Stallion in the foot outside a party in 2020.
I've never been violent towards a woman. I would never hit a woman, let alone shoot a woman.
Lanez, whose real name is Daystar Peterson, spoke to NBC News from California Men's Colony, a prison where he's 3 years into a 10-year sentence after being found guilty on 3 felony counts, including assault with a semi-automatic firearm.
There is definitely a very big misconception about me that seems to the public as I'm this monster. And I feel like I was catapulted into this poster child for the unprotection of Black women. And it's just so unlike me. And I've never really had a chance to to express that, but you can look at my criminal record. I don't have one. I never had one. And I feel like, that connotation that I would do anything of this monstrous proportion is just, it's completely incorrect and it's wrong.
LANEZ declined to testify during his 2022 trial.
Do you regret not taking the stand?
I think if I would have taken the stand, the verdict would have definitely been very different.
The rapper's legal team filed an appeal, which was denied in November. But his team is continuing to fight, with plans to file multiple appeals next week, this time with the California Supreme Court, in one claiming newly discovered evidence that they weren't provided during LANEZ's 2022 trial, including hundreds of pages of medical records for Megan Thee Stallion, whose real name is Megan Pete, which they allege raise questions about the fragments removed from her foot after surgery. His team argues that the fragments were not provided ahead of trial and that this was a violation of due process.
And we didn't have that chance. Or perhaps we could have questioned the doctors differently when they were on stand to impeach them, because it does look suspicious.
But in the appeal denied in November, the court did address the fragments, ruling that the surgeon's testimony was, quote, more than sufficient to prove great bodily injury on Pete. Proving something like this on appeal is tough.
This is a really, really difficult appellate argument for defendants to prove, because they have to show if the evidence actually came into court, the jury would have found differently. It's an uphill battle, and it's something that often torpedoes.
Now, I'll pause this for a sec, right? The thing with Tory Lanez, man, I feel like because of how he was moving in the public with certain situations, getting into it with certain rappers and stuff like that, I think people felt like it was in his character to do something like that. But two things can be true at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like he could be one way when it comes to other rappers, but when it comes to women, he could be another way. But I'm gonna give y'all the rest of my thoughts in a few.
Any defense appellate argument.
The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office and representatives for Megan Thee Stallion have not responded to NBC News' request for comment.
I believe not only that I was wrongfully convicted, but the amount of new evidence that has emerged since that trial, I think, has been overwhelming.
What has life been like in prison for the last couple of years?
Truthfully, I've done my best to keep my head above water, but mentally, I've gone through trauma that I sometimes even struggle with, because I never imagined myself dealing with the things that I would have to deal with. I've been stabbed 17 times. I almost lost my life.
If you could say something to Megan Thee Stallion today, what would it be?
I think that I wouldn't say something.
I would have said no comment on that one. I ain't got nothing to say, man. Because if I'm locked up for something that I know in my heart that I didn't do, yeah, the comments saying what I'm gonna say is not gonna be positive anyway. So I'll skip right over that question.
Something directly to where I would like that moment to happen in person. We've both gone through a lot. There's this connotation that like I share this hatred for her, but I don't. I genuinely passed that. I'm at a place of healing in my life. I'm at a place of taking accountability for the things that I did wrong. And when I talk about my case, I don't want it to be taken as me coming at her, because it's not that. I'm just asking for somebody in the system to look at my case and look at the evidence and ask if this was fair.
And with that, Chloe Malas joins us now on set. So, Chloe, Tory Lanez is also seeking a pardon from Governor Gavin Newsom?
That's right. His legal team has filed the necessary paperwork, and it is before the governor now. So they're seeking either a pardon where his criminal record will be wiped clean, he would be released from prison, or to have his sentence commuted, meaning that the time he has...
That's a dice roll right there. I tell you that right now. That's a dice roll.
...served is sufficient and release him. But
because California does not play when it comes to women.
That doesn't change his criminal record. As for when this could happen, the governor typically does these twice a year, so this could happen before the new year.
All right. Chloe Malas for us. Chloe, thank you. We thank you for...
I bet 90...
Get this out of here. Get this out of here. Yeah, so what I feel like when it comes to the Tory Lane situation, I just look at the evidence. You know what I mean? And there was no gunpowder found on Tory Lanez. That's what the evidence states. There was gunpowder found on Megan's friend. So just listening to all of the facts of the trial, the details and all that, I feel like Megan and her friend got into it. Tory probably tried to intervene. I guess Megan probably got the best of Shorty. Shorty probably tried to go for the hammer. You know what I mean? Tory got in between. Then it turned out to where they all wrestling over the gun. The gun went off, hit the floor. She got hit by a couple fragments. It was a drunk night, so the details were kind of a little sketchy or whatever. But that's what I believe happened. Just looking at the evidence. You know what I mean? This is my opinion, just looking at the evidence, right? But and I think moving forward, Tory relied on the bodyguard to testify on his behalf when he should have been testifying on his own behalf as to what went down in that situation. Now, okay, what people have looked at him like a snitch or whatever the case may be, I never looked at Tory Lanez as a gangster. I looked at him as an entertainer. That's what he was doing, right? Entertaining, dropping music, you know what I mean, doing his thing. So I never looked at him that way. So I don't think that would have made me change how I look at Tory. You know what I mean? So, but I felt like he was relying on that bodyguard to testify on his behalf and clear his name. The bodyguard got missing when the trial went on and showed up after the trial was done. And I felt like once Tory seen that the bodyguard wasn't going to show up, Tory should have stepped up and testified on his own behalf. Because why the hell am I going to jail for something I'm not responsible for? That's beyond me. You understand? You know, if I'm an entertainer and I'm making all this money and, shit happened, we had a drunk night, things went a little left. But I think that if he would have testified, a friend would probably went to jail. Because I don't care. You cannot shoot nobody and not have a gunpowder on you. When the police pulled up on Tory and them, they was still at the truck. You can't even get gunpowder off of you that easy. Luminol will bring all of that up. There's only one way you can, and I don't think Tory even knew that. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I don't believe Tory shot Megan straight up. You feel what I'm saying? I believe a friend probably. You know what I mean? That's what, and I'm just looking at what the evidence points to, because you can't get gunpowder on you without firing a gun. You know what I'm saying? So if he don't got gunpowder on him, Megan don't got gunpowder on her as far as their hands, but she got gunpowder on her. Come on, man. What are we talking about here? We just looking at the evidence. But I felt like Tory should have testified on his own behalf and cleared his own name. He wouldn't have been in prison today. You understand what I'm saying? And in situations like that, because I see, Tory was trying to do his little, poking his chest out and shit like that. But in situations like that, you have to decide: are you a gangster or are you a civilian/entertainer? Because that's gonna determine the outcome of this whole thing. You know what I mean? And I think if he took the position as an entertainer, civilian entertainer, it would have worked out in his favor. But he took the position of a gangster, and he wanted to. I don't want to snitch. I'd rather the bodyguard do it because he's seen everything. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want that on my name, and I don't want to send Shorty from the prison. I get it. You know what I mean? And it's honorable to a certain degree. You feel me? But that's what those are the consequences. If you're gonna be honorable in that sense, and you feel like, okay, I don't want Shorty to go to prison. We was all cool at one point. Woo, 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 then I'm not saying you shouldn't fight for your freedom, but at the end of the day, you know what that decision was going to get you. You feel me? You know that it's a price to pay for that decision. You know what I'm saying? So free Tory, man. You know what I mean? Like if he's innocent of this, man, free him. If he's not innocent or whatever, then he deserves every day he got. You feel me? But just based on the evidence, I don't believe he shot that gun. Because you cannot shoot a gun and not have gunpowder on you. It's just simple math. Simple math. You understand what I'm saying? So, And I don't knock Megan Thee Stallion, whatever the case may be. You feel me? I just feel like it was a crazy night. It was a drunk night. Tensions got flared. Things went left. You know what I mean? I'm not here to demonize nobody for it. But now on the flip side, if there's something that was withheld or whatever the case may be, it was any kind of evidence to prove that he shot that woman, then yeah, he got to eat that. He got to deal with that. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about that, man. I just feel like it's something that's missing about that story. And I feel like what I explained just now is what's missing. You understand what I'm saying? But that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? So, you know, anyway, I seen he got poked up in there, whatever the case may be, man. You gotta hold it down. You in prison with gorillas, man. So you're gonna have to, you know what I mean? You have to strengthen up, man, and stand on all 10 in there. You feel what I'm saying? Word. But it's been my time for today. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm here on YouTube, so holla at me, man. And I'm also on PS5. Baby Slim /2013. That's my gamer tag. Pull up, man. I'm on Arc Raiders. I'll be on Warzone every now and again. I'm tired of GTA. I done ran through GTA already. You feel me? But anyway, it's been my time for today, man. Y'all have a happy holidays. Peace.